With our presence and intention, we make this gathering a sanctuary, a space of dreams and wisdom and beauty where we come to grow, to be healed, to stretch mind and heart, to be challenged and renewed, to be helped in our own continuing struggles for meaning and for love, to help build a world with more justice and mercy in it, to be counted among the hopers and the doers. In the face of cynicism, shadows and brutality around us and within, we seek to align ourselves with a community that would affirm rather than despair, that would think and act to bring about a better and more beautiful world through our creative efforts, rather than simply adjust and succumb. Here we invite the spirit of our own humanity and the healing powers under, around, through and beyond it to give us the nerve and the grace, the toughness and the sensitivity to search out the truth that frees and the life that makes all things new. These words from Jack Mendelssohn welcome all who have gathered this morning for our Sunday service. Welcome to those of you here in the building, Essex Church. Welcome to everyone joining from far and wide via Zoom, and indeed anyone tuning in at a later date on the YouTube channel. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name's Jane Blackall and I am minister with Kensington Unitarians. This morning we will be reflecting on our creative powers, our capacity to participate in the work of creation, to make some sort of difference for the good in this world. The story of the universe is still unfolding, and for as long as we're still here, we have a chance, in fact we have many, many chances to contribute to that unfolding story if we own our own creative power and harness it to bring something new into being. As Martha Graham once said, there is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and it will be lost. Later on in the service, in the spot where we'd usually have a sermon-y bit, there'll be an opportunity for you, whether you're in person or online, to tell us a little bit about some aspect of your own creative expression. And you can take that in the widest possible sense. You might think about something you'd like to share very briefly later on, something you've created which has made the world better or more beautiful, perhaps in the form of visual art or music, the written word or performance, gardens or buildings, communities, events or happenings, social change even. I think of us as quite a creative congregation, so I bet some of you will struggle to choose one thing to mention, and I bet others of you will be so humble you don't want to talk about any of it. But no matter how small or quirky your own creative contribution might seem, today is a day to celebrate that. And do not worry, it's an invitation, not an obligation, as always. Nobody's going to lean on you too much to speak. But before we go any further, let's do what we always do. Let's light our chalice flame. It's a moment for us to pause and arrive, to take a breath, set aside anything we don't need to worry about for the next hour or so. And this ritual connects us with Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists the world over. And it reminds us of that proudly progressive religious tradition of which this gathering is part. As we light our chalice, this ritual of our faith reminds us that we are part of a collective, a community of care and connection, courage and questions, scared and sacred together. Today we gather with intention and creativity, releasing what we must, shaping what we will, in a space made possible by generations of community care and the courage of connection. Time to sing. Our first hymn this morning is on your hymn sheet if you're in the building, Song of Thanksgiving. If you're online, the words will be up on screen as they will for all the hymns today. Feel free to stand or sit as you prefer and sing up as best you can this Song of Thanksgiving. Let's take all of our joys and concerns, both spoken and unspoken, into an extended time of prayer and reflection now. This is based on some words by Laura Horton Ludwig and Hilary Allen. You might want to adjust your position. You might want to close your eyes. You might want to put down anything you don't need to be holding. Perhaps there's a posture that helps you to feel more centered and prayerful. Whatever helps you get into the right state of body and mind for us to pray together now and be fully present to ourselves, to each other, and to that which lies within us and beyond us. Spirit of life, God of all love, in whom we live and move and have our being, we turn our full attention to you, the light within and without, as we tune into the depths of this life and the greater wisdom to which and through which we are all intimately connected. Be with us now as we allow ourselves to drop into the silence and the stillness at the very center of our being. We are here this day because we know that what we do with our life matters. We are here because we know the choices we make each day matter. With every act of kindness or meanness, courage or fear, love or hate, we are weaving the very fabric of this universe that holds us all. We are here this day because we need encouragement, because we need strength, because so often we get distracted. We're in a rush, we don't think. Sometimes we choose the easy way, when the harder path of integrity may be what our spirit truly longs for. We are here this day because none of us is infallible or perfect, but together we inspire one another to try again, to take another step. We are here because we felt the stirrings of love and grace in our hearts and our hands, and we are called to co-create that shining life for ourselves and for everyone on this planet, for the greater good of all. And so let us take a few moments now to look inward, to get in touch with what's real, what is going on beneath the surface of our lives this morning. Let us notice what we're carrying, what's troubling us, what's bubbling away, what questions or uncertainties we're faced with, what hopes or dreams we nurture. And from that place of realness, silently and inwardly, ask for whatever it is that you most need. Ask God, or cast it out into the universe. Even if you're the only one that hears your prayer, still name what it is that you most need this day. And let us give thanks for all the good things we already have. Look back on the week just gone and recall all those moments of kindness, of comfort, of pleasure and joy. And inwardly take some time to savour all those gifts and to take in the good. And let us turn our attention outwards to the world around us, starting with those dear ones closest to our heart and stretching ever outwards, spreading around this planet till we hold all beings in the light of love. Spirit of life, God of all love, as this time of prayer draws to a close, we offer up our joys and our concerns, our hopes and our fears, our beauty and our brokenness. And we call on you for insight, healing and renewal. As we look forward now to the coming week, help us to live well each day and be our best selves, using our unique gifts in the service of love, justice and peace. Amen.
Creativity and the Divine Imagination by John O'Donoghue. Creativity is the supreme passion of God. God created the world because God had to create. There was such a fullness brimming in the divine presence that God had to come to expression. The divine imagination has infused the things of the world with secret depths. We are the ultimate participants here. The more we give ourselves to experience and strive for expression, the deeper it opens to us. We carry in our minds and hearts the ripple of the divine mind. There are depths that keep watching us, depths we have not created. The individual imagination is not its own invention, its source is elsewhere. At the deepest level, creativity is holiness. To create is to further the dream and desire of the Creator. When the world was created, it was not a one-off, finished event. Creation is a huge beginning, not a finished end. Made in the image and likeness of the divine imagination, human creativity helps to add to creation. The unfinished is an invitation to our imagination. This is what happens in experience. This is what happens in experience. The unfinished reaches towards us in order to come to form and expression. Experience is also how we develop and grow. The human self is not a finished thing. It's constantly unfolding. Experience is then essentially creative. Everything we feel, think, and do, even the smallest thing, expresses and unfolds the dream of God. The life within us calls out for expression. This is what creativity serves. It endeavors to bring some of our hidden life to expression in order that we might come to see who we are. When we are creative, we help the unknown to become known, the visible to be seen, and the rich darkness within us to become illuminated. No human being is actually ever there. Each of us is emerging in every moment. When we discover our creativity, we begin to attend to this constant emergence of who we are. While the outside world has long settled for who we are in terms of name, personality, and role, when we creatively engage in our life, we enable the signature, taste, and imprint of our uniqueness to emerge. This is what begins to emerge when we come to the desk and look into the mirror of the white page. Beneath the white page, in the stillness, a harvest of untouched possibility waits. Every heart is full of creative material. When creativity awakens, we discover that nothing is truly complete or closed in life. The deeper we attend to the soul, the more we realize what a treasure house we have inherited. There are depths within us hungering towards the light.
Thanks, Antony. We're going to sing again now. Our second hymn today is number 104 in your purple books, if you're in the room, Name Unnamed. Now, we haven't sung this one in ages, so I think it will be unfamiliar to most. Jack's going to play it through in full before we start to sing. It speaks of the many dimensions of the unnameable spirit in which we live and move and have our being, including that creative dimension that we just heard about, that we all participate in. So I think it links up with what we just heard. Anyway, let's give it our best shot after hearing it through. Number 104, Name Unnamed.
We Are All Creative by Anna Levy-Lyons. This piece by Unitarian Universalist minister Anna Levy-Lyons is an excerpt from a longer reflection inspired by reading The Artist's Way, the well-known book on creativity by Julia Cameron. She writes, "We are all creative beings. Creativity is not something that only successful artists possess. It's part of our nature, part of our inner child, part of the factory settings of each human being, installed by the greatest creator of all." Julia Cameron, the author, uses the word God, but she's quick to say that it doesn't matter what you call it. There's a creative force at the foundation of the universe, and part of the evolution of the world as we know it has been the transmission of that creative capacity itself to us. The feminist theologian Mary Daly put it this way: "It is the creative potential itself in human beings that is in the image of God." This natural creativity that we have is abundant in our childhood. We pretend, make believe, dream vividly, conjure imaginary friends. We love color, we love sparkle, we love twirling and running. We ask fresh questions and make astute observations about our world. We're funny. But at some point in our childhoods, many of us find that the adults in our lives are trying to dampen that expansive, dream-filled way of being. The grown-ups don't take us seriously as artists. Some of us get told that we're no good at it. Creativity is for other people, not us. And so our tender creative venture withdraws. There is a kind of spiritual or creative injury that we suffer in that process. The creative part of ourselves, the divine gift that is so essential to who we are, gets suppressed. And along with it, the channels of spiritual flow get stopped up. We live smaller, less expansively. Our childhood dreams grow dim. We put our heads down and do our jobs, sometimes living vicariously through other creative people. But creative flow is part of who we are, each of us. And I've come to believe that it is unkillable. We have the ability to nurture that part of us and let it flourish again. Julia Cameron calls it creative recovery, and it is clearly also spiritual recovery. When we unclog our spiritual plumbing and allow the natural current of creativity to flow through us, we become more fully ourselves. And when that happens, watch out, world. It's so powerful. Amazing things begin to happen. This is not just for people who want to be writers or musicians or painters. We can bring creativity to our whole lives, whatever we do. There's creative potential everywhere. When it's flowing, our whole life can be a work of art, and we realize this is how it's meant to be. This is who we are meant to be.
Thanks, Azita. So we're moving into a time of meditation now. And to take us into the stillness, I'm simply going to invite you to reflect on your own creative life. If you're in the building, you'd have found a pen on your chair, hopefully. If you haven't got one, there's some spares at the back. And on your little hymn sheet, I've given you a bunch of little clouds to fill in. Hopefully at home you'll have a pen and paper. You'll have to draw your own clouds, I'm afraid. Following just a few introductory words of invitation, we'll hold a few minutes of shared silence, which will end with the sound of a bell. And then we're going to hear some more music for meditation from Jack, some Chopin. Nice long piece for you to settle into. So do what you need to do to get comfortable. Maybe put your feet flat on the floor to ground and steady yourself. You might want to close your eyes for a bit while you're doing the reflecting, although you need to open them again if you're going to make notes. And the invitation is just an offering. Feel free to use this time to meditate in your own way. So I invite you now to survey your creative life. Think about this as broadly and freely as you can. Consider things you've made or initiated which have made the world a tiny bit or a lot better or more beautiful. things that wouldn't exist or wouldn't have happened without your creative spark or initiative. Jot down anything that comes to mind from across your whole lifetime. Visual art, music, the written word, performance, gardens or buildings, communities, events or happenings, social change. And this list of suggestions, of course, it is not comprehensive. It's just to get you started. Things you've created on your own or created with others, or which you still aspire to create. As we heard in the reading from John O'Donoghue, each of us is emerging in every moment. When we discover our creativity, we begin to attend to this constant emergence of who we are. And when we creatively engage our life, we enable the signature, taste, and imprint of our uniqueness to emerge. So as we move into a few minutes of shared silence and stillness now, I invite you to recognize and affirm your own creative powers. Seems a shame to speak. We've got about 10 minutes now, maybe a bit longer, for a few of us to share something we've created, that has made the world better or more beautiful. Like I said, art, music, performance, written word, all the rest. It doesn't have to be something huge or spectacular, something you're quietly proud of, perhaps. I'm sure many of us have got a long list of things we could potentially choose from. So just pick one to share for now, if you can. We can always chat about the others over tea or cake or at the crafternoon next week after next. I invite anyone who wants to come up to speak to the mic in turn, just as we do in Joys of Concerns. And we'll go to the people in the room first and then to the people on Zoom. There's always a balance to be struck. I don't know how many of you are going to want to join in, although I have been nagging various of you to do so. I don't want to inhibit anyone's sharing, but do bear in mind how long you're speaking for so that everyone who wants to get to join in can do so. I suspect the service is going to overrun a little bit, and I think we should just relax into that reality. Just to know, by default, this will be left in the recording of the service. But if you want to join in but not be in the video that will end up on YouTube, just give me a shout after the service and I'll edit it out this afternoon. As with everything, it's an invitation, not an obligation, but I would love to hear about your creative life, your creative powers. So, who's going to get us started? Actually, shall I get us started while you're thinking about it? As I was thinking about this in the silence, I realised I thought of myself always as a crafts person. You've seen a lot of my felt work in the room next door. And then I've done a lot of written word type stuff because of the services and various other endeavours. But what I wanted to talk about was Hutt Close Summer School, because it was not my project. I inherited the project from someone else, and I do not do it alone. It's always a very much a team effort. But it's such an opportunity to create something that will impact a lot of people, that leaves a lot of trace afterwards with talks and books and all the other things that have spun off it. And yeah, to start again with a blank canvas every September and know that we're going to create a week-long experience for everyone the next August is a wonderful challenge, and one of the things I'm proudest of creating, co-creating. Who's next? Go on, Michael. Oh, all right, Patricia's beat you to it.
I've never thought of myself as a creative person at all. I can think of all the things I can't do. But one sunny day last summer, early summer, I went and joined a workshop which was held on the piazza at the Angel Islington, and sat with a group of people as we made a square for this quilt. This memorial quilt was started by Fiona Bailey last May because she couldn't bear the thought of all those children in Gaza losing their lives and their names because there's no one to remember them. And so she started this project, and you design your square. There are 3 of mine up there, and I'm sorry, they're not the most beautiful, but I'm getting better. And when you've designed it, she will give you a name. You can say you want a boy or a girl and what kind of age. I always have a boy of the age of my youngest grandchild, because that helps me to imagine the loss his grandmother felt. And when you get the name, it really hits your heart. That's your child. You have remembered him. And as Marianne said, there's a chance for you all to join in making a square at 1 o'clock today in the library. Okay?
Thanks, Patricia.
A few months ago, I graduated from the Royal College of Art, and I was fortunate to be offered an exhibition at the Austrian Cultural Forum. So my work will be displayed actually this Thursday at 6:30 is the opening. And I'm originally American, but my grandparents were Jews who escaped the Holocaust. So that's why I'm now also an Austrian citizen. So in the exhibition, it's going to be entitled Real Citizens, because what does it mean to be an Austrian citizen? I don't speak German. But I've learned a lot about Austria since I've become a citizen. And so the title kind of refers to when people come up to me and say, "Oh, are you a real citizen?" Because I don't speak German and things like that. But I have a number of different works in the exhibition. The one I'm probably the most excited about, just to say one, is that I went up to the University of Birmingham, and they offered to collaborate with me by scanning my brain while I listened to things associated with Austria, such as Rock Me Amadeus by Falco and other very serious topics like that. And so you can see what's actually happening in my brain during those. And there's 4 different stimuli that will be shown on the walls of the embassy. So if any of you are free on Thursday at 6:30, it's actually in Kensington, near Royal Albert Hall. And I'd love to see you there. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, I didn't really want to do this, but somebody twisted my arm, and that forced me to do some thinking. And then 2 things came to me. I don't know whether it's made a difference. I know what the website I did for my brother made a difference. He used to make beautiful photos, really beautiful photos of the natural world. And so I did a website with his pictures and some of my haiku. And I was very lucky that he saw the website before he died, about 2 months before he died. And he said, just one sentence, he said, "This is a wonderful symbiosis," which said everything, but that means that I accomplished what I was wanting to accomplish. And as you know, I've spoken about him many times. He is in my heart, always, every day. The other one is about the poetry that I write. You've read some in the newsletter. It tends to be the more gentle type, but in our poetry group, I think there are quite a few humdingers. I think sometimes my friends think, "Oh my God, what is she coming up with now?" But this is because I use the poetry group to express my feelings toward what's happening in the world. And of course, a lot of it is really harsh and difficult. I also, I suppose, write because I would like maybe my family later on, especially my grandson, maybe to know what was happening when I was alive, and maybe for him to understand who I was. I think the writing, come to think of it, does express who I am, even although if people ask me, I say, "Well, I really don't know who I am." But they do express who I am, I think. And it's good to know sometimes, because it helps me to stand a bit more strongly on the ground.
Thank you. Thank you for putting up with my nagging.
Hi, I write fiction, mainly short stories. And when I started, it was because my friend and I went on a weekend trip to Southwold in North Suffolk, and it was in November and very dark and cold. And we were walking past the house, and it already had its Christmas decorations up. And we just thought, it's a month before Christmas. Why are there Christmas decorations up? So that inspired us. We both challenged each other to write a story. And from that, we went on to write more stories, all themed around Christmas. And we actually published our first book of stories together, which was actually called Quirky Christmas Stories. And I'm very proud of that, because before that, I'd not always finished things. So it was a real challenge to actually get to finish things and actually have a whole project in something you could hold in your hand. I think, and since then, I've written more books of short stories, and it's encouraged me to carry on writing. So I think that's what I want to say on the subject.
Excellent. Thank you, Liz.
Hello. Nice to know about the secret poets, or secret to me. I'm also a poet, have written since I was a teenager. And a lot of my work has been sort of connected to that, doing performance and writing and teaching. And in 2023, there was a small press that kind of nagged me to, well, they nagged me beforehand, but they said, do you have a body of work that you could put together? So they published this, which is called Inheritance. It's my first full collection of work. It has some shiny accolades, but I mean, to briefly describe it, it's a body of work that I made over about 14 years, maybe, to do with many themes, including loss, grief. How do you move on? How do you live with grief? How do you, how does the love from people who are no longer here, how does it change form? Messy attempts at relationships, spaces between ourselves and others, is also about being dual, not nationality, being mixed race, being second generation. What are the complications of that? There's many, many themes. And I was going to say, despite some of the shiny accolades attached to it, what's most meaningful to me is to hear when people tell me, oh, we read this poem at this so-and-so's funeral, or we read this poem at so-and-so's wedding, or this book lives on my bedside because it's a comfort. It's like the privilege of the intimacy in people's lives. And that helps me to be reassured that it's not just a self-indulgent endeavor. I thought I would read to you very briefly, Jane, the title poem, which was really about the love of my late partner. It's called Inheritance. I wake to this gift, a song of love so fierce and melodic, I feel it swell like a wave. I heard you hum this all the time, but it's only now that the tune sticks, circling above me like a hanging mobile as I sleep. I hum it as I dress, wash the dishes. I do not know what greater gift there is to give someone than unshatterable faith in their own worth, like a safe filled with gold in an otherwise obliterated building. Quick note as well that following or connected to what Marianne was saying about being known through the things that you make, I'm going to gift 2 copies of this book to the Kensington Unitarian Library, so you can read it if you wish.
David, you have something for us? Oh, Brian's going to get out of his seat. Go on, Brian.
Most of you will know Juliet, a fellow member of the congregation here. I'd like you to engage your creative minds. I am Juliet. Now, some years ago, the garden that belonged to the flat below my flat became available for my use. It was a tip. It was overgrown. There were tables, chairs, an old washing machine, all sorts of rubbish in this garden. But I thought I could create my own little oasis here if I had some help. So I asked another congregational friend of mine, Brian, to come along and help. And it took us a couple of years to clear this garden. But now I've got my bird feeder hung up. I can grow a few vegetables. I'm growing flowers. I planted some shrubs. And I have a nice little area of peace and quiet created in Acton.
Thank you, Juliet / Brian. David, can I not tempt you up to share yours? Go on.
You'll be relieved to hear I'm just going to be me. Or maybe you won't, I don't know. Many years ago, probably getting on for 20 years ago, my friend, who I suppose was my best friend, he was a a lad that I was in Boy Scouts with, so I've known him a long time. We both retired at approximately the same time, and we started taking a walk just randomly. And then we decided that quite often, what, can we do it Tuesday? Can we do it Thursday? So we settled on a day, Wednesday. Wednesday. It was always going to be Wednesday. After a little while, Wednesdays became sacrosanct. That was the day we went for a walk. Other people retired. We said, come and walk with us on a Wednesday. And they did. Some have now passed on. People have come and gone in this group. We've invited people who've lost their partners. They've come walking with us and still walk with us. And what I suppose what I'm really proudest of is that during the pandemic, we couldn't go out and walk together. We weren't allowed to. So we changed from being the Wednesday walkers to being the Wednesday talkers. And every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, we had a Zoom call and a cup of coffee, and we put the world to rights. And we're still doing that.
Thanks, David. Is there anyone else in the room that wants to say something? In that case, we'll go over to the people on Zoom. I know we're running long, but I really want to hear your voices. So if you would like to share, just unmute yourself and speak out.
Hi, everyone. This is Charlotte. When I moved into this building, I realized that I never bumped into any of my neighbors. And then I went to the UK last summer, and when I came back from summer school, my plants had died because I had no one to water them. So I decided to create a neighborhood help network, which is actually a WhatsApp group for people living in the building to ask for help if they're going away and they need someone to feed the cat or something like that. Some of us have met now, and it's actually really nice to know that it's possible to ask for help when all of us are newbies here. And some of my neighbors have moved from far away, so it's nice to have support right here.
Thank you, Charlotte.
So I'm another person who I think at some points in my life didn't think of myself as being creative, but I was encouraged by our church organist, actually, when I years ago started writing some songs, and I shared them with him, and he said he thought they were worth recording, and we did some recordings. You can find them on YouTube if you want. But more recently, I just, when I retired, I wanted to do some more creating of something. And I started from this kind of a little bit arrogant belief that I could do better on a setting of the text, "Love is the doctrine of this church," than another member of my church had done years previously. And I thought, I think I have an idea. I really want to set those words. And the idea just came to me of the opening word, love, as the sounding of a bell. And so that in a choral setting of this text, you could have each entry of the voice be a sounding of that word love, and it would be like the pealing of bells sharing that word. Love is the doctrine, love is the doctrine, love is the doctrine. So I did that, and it worked very well, actually. I'm really pleased that setting of love is the doctrine of this church has been sung in the church by the church choir in Dublin. And it works, and it encouraged me, and I'm continuing to write anthems to Unitarian texts, choral anthems to Unitarian texts. I've now written about 5, so I'm going to keep going.
Thanks, Sherry.
Yeah, I thought that given that I'm calling online, I would share an online creation. So maybe something a bit different. So yeah, I really like maths. That's kind of my thing. So yeah, I made a video on YouTube about like dozenal numbers. So yeah, basically the normal kind of math system that we use in every day is kind of like the decimal system, which is based on 10. Whereas a dozenal or duodecimal, as it's called, is sort of a way of counting that uses 12 as the main number instead of 10. And yeah, it was just something that I kind of wanted to share. I guess there was kind of like a gap. There wasn't kind of a good video about it. So it was nice to kind of get comments from people kind of saying like, you know, that they hadn't heard of it before, or, you know, they understand it better now. And yeah, it just made me feel good that something I kind of made in my bedroom was able to reach a lot of people.
Thanks, Harvey.
Hello, I am now visible, I hope. As some of you know, I write and I have been working on a vampire novel for a while. I've always written fiction, and lately since I've been sick, I've been wanting to write about the experience of being sick, particularly trying to find a way to make it entertaining, because I feel like people often don't want to hear about disability. It's something you turn away from. And so how do you make a story that is about disability in a way that people actually want to read it? So I've been working on it for a few years, and I would love to be doing more about it, but we'll see how that goes. It's quite ironic to be writing, or ironic and also cathartic to be writing about a character having a big crash, a vampire character having a big crash, while also having a big crash myself. But there's something about time, about being immortal, and therefore everything takes a really long time. But it's kind of fine if you're immortal, right? Anyway, that's me and my silly vampire project.
Thank you, Lachlan.
I had a sort of funny history with creativity, meaning my sister was supposed to be the creative one. I was supposed to be the clever one. And you cannot imagine, or probably you can imagine, how divisive this set of attributions can be. Meaning it took me almost to the age of 80 to write creatively. Probably 60 more, 65, after my retirement. Somebody encouraged me to write a play. I wrote a play called Doing Empathy Shakespeare's Way, which is all about bridging the gaps between those that other each other. And of course, on one level, it's about racism and white privilege and all that kind of stuff. But really, much of it, that's what the play is all about. What I'm writing about now is how to heal the gap between my sister and myself. And it's incredible to really look in detail how together we maintained the separation, the alienation. And yeah, anyway, so I do feel quite creative at the moment because I'm attending to something that has been a very painful division for a very long time. So it resonates with what you said, Lachlan, disability and how to bring it back into experience.
Thank you, Michaela. Is there anyone else on Zoom who would like to share? If everyone who wants to speak has spoken, I thank you all for your contributions, both online and in the room. It's really good to share our stories. It's another way to build connections and to lift each other up. So let's encourage each other in all these creative endeavours as we use our unique gifts in the service of love, justice, and peace. Time for one last hymn, an old favourite, number 198 in your purple books. It celebrates the ultimate use of our creative powers, which is building a better world. Hymn 198, We'll Build a Land.
We'll
for a few announcements. I will try to race through them. Thank you for your patience, but I really want to hear everyone's voices. Thanks to Ramona for tech hosting, Sherry for co-hosting, thanks to Jack for lovely music and for stepping in at the last minute, thanks to Benj for supporting our singing, thanks to Antony and Azita for our readings, and to everyone who contributed to the sharing. Thank you to Marianne, who stepped in at the last minute to greet, and Liz, who's making the coffee. If you're here in person, stay for cake, which is either coffee and walnut or apple and sultana. And if you're online, do hang around for a little chat with Sherry if you can. As Patricia said, we've got the quilting for each child alight at 1 o'clock down in the library. Patricia will tell you all you need to know. Tonight and Friday at 7, we've got our Heart and Soul Contemplative Spiritual Gathering online. The theme is commitment. Email me if you want the link to join. We've got the poetry group with Brian on Wednesday night. Have a word with him if you want to come in person. Sonia will be doing Nia dance on Friday lunchtime. This month, where have I put the book? I haven't got the book. We've got some copies of Afropean, which is what we're reading in the Better World Book Club this month by Johnny Pitts. That'll be on the 22nd of March, so you've got ages to read that. Let me know if you take a copy. They're on the shelf at the back. We've got the walking group coming up on the 12th of March to Rain and Marsh's RSPB. Let me know if you're coming to that so that we know who we're waiting for. And we've got the Labyrinth Equinox mini retreat after the service on the 22nd. Please sign up for that one as well. Next Sunday, we'll be having service on Our Hurting World, and we've got a new hymn which Ben just kindly recorded for us so that we can learn it in advance. So look out in Friday's email for a link to that new hymn so you can hear it before we arrive. All the details are on the back of the order of service are in the Friday email, and ta-da! The spring newsletter is out. If you're on the mailing list, you would already have got a copy in the post, but there are copies in the foyer. Please do take one if you don't expect to get one in the post. We've very much got a life beyond Sunday mornings. Let's look out for each other and do what we can to nurture supportive connections. So just time for our closing words and quite exciting closing music. These simple closing words were used as our closing for the creativity group for over a decade. That was the first engagement group we ever ran at Essex Church, so I've got a lot of fondness for them. That which is worthy of doing, create with your hands. That which is worthy of repeating, speak with a clear voice. That which is worthy of remembering, hold in your hearts. And that which is worthy of living, go and live it now. Amen.